if it actually is so that Simon, or part of his name, Peter, died on the cross instead of Jesus, and then saying that he turned into Saint Peter, and Jesus took on his name because he was not counted and part of the census made. Uh, then, if we transfer that to our society and imagine that we lived like that, at that time they had, I don't believe they had things written down about Simon. They just wrote down their names and counted. Like when we take, I've worked in a kindergarten, when you take children to swim in the, what's the name of, well, whatever, and you have to watch out for the children not to drown, and you count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I don't write down, well, he walked up there and then he, but we have documentation in, so it, of course, yeah, it's not the same, but imagine the time of year zero, uh, where Jesus was born or died. I don't remember if that was the year he was born or died, but they it seemed like they just made a census, counted people, wrote down their names, registered, part of people who lived in that city, town. Uh, but today, um, at the social services, you are registered with a number, like mine is 130373, and then 4 digits more. And I have a name. People know things about, they know, not people, but the social services know about different things in my situation that are registered there, and that's the same with everyone. Um, Also, we have something called Payment Denmark. They know things about us there. If we get um, support to pay our rent, that's something you can apply for, and then you get that. That's registered. This is, you have to tell them about your economic situation, and from that they figure out how much you're entitled to receive from the state as support to pay your rent. So there's a lot of uh, details and facts, and also non-factual things if it's documentation, because that's based on subjectivity. Uh, that we know that I've studied pedagogy, and that's part of the education, that you think about what is subjectivity, observation, documentation, and is it possible to be objective? It's not. So it is subjective, based on your own life experiences. But that aside, the factual things, like how much do you earn, what is your social security number, and things like that, that shows you're registered, it's not the same as the time of Jesus. So imagine in a funny world that's totally crazy, where people have turned like totally uh, stupid or something like that. Uh, and that you could you would just uh, do like at Jesus time. You could just kill someone and say, "I'll take on his identity." Okay, but I don't have a dick. Then, oh, I just get a gender uh, surgery, and I'll just get a dick instead, and no one will notice. But he doesn't have curls. Okay, I'll have to take off all my hair and put on a wig. Okay, but what about his family? And what about your nose? It looks different. I'll just get a surgery. Well, he weighs 180 pounds. I'll have to start eating McDonald's and a lot of fast food. And, you know, and what about his life story? Well, he has kids. He's 75. So you have to ruin your body. And, okay, so I don't think anyone would, or I wouldn't agree to any of these things. It's so funny transferring it to the way we live today. It's not possible. But that tells a lot about that time back then, that there was nothing registered, and uh, at least I don't think so. That if you walk around counting people and you write down their names and you make the census, and there was no talk about them asking, well, how old are you? Do you have children and things like that? And then, okay, well, I'm trying to, I am not, but imagining it was like that, uh, uh, trying to switch roles with someone who's 75. Well, his children are um, 55 and 50. And what about then he'll have to get my children? So they'll have to become older, turn 50 and 55. Well, they are only 5 and 8. They'll have to move away from home in their own apartments and just take care of themselves. You know, it's just funny making that thought experiment. What would happen if you did that today? It's not possible because it's registered in, and they would notice in, they would look in their computers and see, oh, you are, well, you don't look like a man, you have boobs, you're not, and it's so stupid, and just to tell how much, how different the times uh, are, our times, from back at the birth of and the time of his crucifixion, Jesus, Simon, or whoever died, um, and from our times today, where things are registered in databases, and also there's this court case with Claus Hjort Frederiksen, a politician who accidentally, I think, leaked some information about the United States um, having some cables and looking into people's lives, and in Denmark, at least that's what I heard. Maybe I misunderstood something. So there's a lot of registering, I can't say the word, people in a lot of different databases. So it's not possible to do that today. So, and we can then wonder, why do we have all that, all these informations in the system? Well, why did they make birth certificates? Why do they make these? We have these yellow social security cards. Why do they make them? And well, maybe I don't know when it started, but obviously, to make sure that things like that would not happen, you are registered. You cannot disappear because you're registered, and it will be noticed if someone else comes and thinks the person is me and visits my mother and brother and start talking to them like pretending to be me. They will notice immediately, and people I know, uh, and not only me but other people, yeah, and uh, so that's thinking about, if you see it that way, that Jesus took on the Simon identity. Simon led the disciples afterwards, and then what died, the part of him, if he was crucified, uh, flew to the sky to be Saint Peter, to welcome people or to judge whether they could enter the heavenly kingdom of God, at the entrance of that kingdom. Then, hvad hedder det? Then if people have understood it early on, that was what it was about, or they could see, okay, then we need to register people, and it has become more and more and more. Everything has become more and more and more registered. so that, and but it's not only that. Uh, I don't know if people back then lived more. Well, I think I'll just wander to pilgrim with wandering or whatever it's called, walk to Jerusalem, and they, I think there was something in the Bible about Jesus being away from his parents in the temple because he liked to be there and talk to people, and the parents would come back a few days later to pick him up. There was something like that. They forgot, or he liked to be there. I can't remember where in the Bible that is, but it's maybe it was more like, yeah, you're there, and then we'll, and maybe, well, now that person will walk down there and on a pilgrimage route, and uh, uh, not as rooted as today in a systemized database system that holds a lot of information about people. Uh, and I know there are problems with digital registering, but I think they have backup in paper, in churches, for example, and other places uh, that I think can be explained by what obviously in my world happened uh, back then, thousands of years ago. Um so thinking about things like that, where why do we do this? Why do we register? Why do we have birth certificates? Why do we have social security cards, passports, and things like that? It's not only to make sure that people, uh, for example, if I travel to America, it's not only because they want to make sure that I'm not some um, terror uh, terrorist, or that I come to study there and I'm not allowed to, or that I am uh, a criminal or something like that. It's also to make sure that you don't go there and you just disappear. It's registered that you were on board that plane at that time. So there's a lot of, like when you have files and you have backup on hardware, hard disks and something like and things like that. Well, also it belongs to me, no one else. Uh, it's only me, not no one, anyone. Someone can steal it because it belongs to me, and I have backup, and then it's like that. The same. It's like putting a stamp in a passport that I went there. Then it turned into something cool. Also, like having these. I went to Roskilde Festival, and you get these arm, like these bracelets. Not bracelets, but it's you where it says Roskilde, and then it turned into something cool, like identity creating thing that when you walked around, people would say, "Wow, he's cool. He's been to Roskilde." At least that's what it was like when I was younger. And if you had five of them saying you'd been to Roskilde, Skanderborg, and other places, and um, then it was more. I that's the same with passports. That's where I came from. That you get the stamps and you can say, "Well, look at this. I went to South America. It says in my passport. Look how many cool stamps, not stamps. When they the passport with the name of the country, it's also where they know you've been there, and then that's registered for many reasons. And that's it's so funny to think about why uh, is the system like that? Why are we registered here and there? And why and also, why do people get tattoos? Well, it's to look cool, but actually, it's nice to have this because it shows that I'm me, except from my social security number and things like that. And like when if a people dies, they can look at the teeth and see, oh, it is that person. Well, mine changed. I don't know if it was overnight. I had there was some this the teeth were uh, there was this little void between these front teeth, and I didn't notice when that happened. It just suddenly when I looked in the mirror and I watched photos back in that time when it happened. It's not. It's only 2 years ago or something. And I looked at my teeth on pictures, and I could see, oh, that happened at about that time. But then again, we at dentists they don't make these. You don't put your teeth in and then they have the whole set of teeth to. So that's still proof that I'm me. Uh, but all these things that also when you get a passport nowadays in Denmark, you uh, they want your fingerprint. I gave that to them in Aalborg when I got my passport renewed last time. They wanted my fingerprint. That's something new. There's more and more registering, and it's just funny to think about why is that, and what about biblical times? How much data was registered? Not much, I assume.